Yeah.
Oh, like a word that young people.
Yeah, the hip
oh yeah,
people
I do
say.
like that. I thought you were just educating Nuno with a more diverse vocabulary.
Well,
but
that
I like
could-
this better. No, I like this one.
No,
better.
he plays with a little guitar thing or the little keyboard
the
thing.
accordion. I like. Oh man, I wish I would have thought of it. She basically called you Weird Al.
Yes.
Yankovic.
Or the dude
That we
from
can we do talk about that in here.
Revenge of the Nerds guy, too.
Yeah, we can talk about that in here.
All right, ready? 3, 2, and 1. Bye.
But
Yeah, all right, guys. It's Texags Rewind on a Monday, and apparently I'm the joke today, Billy.
as far as I'm concerned, Anna Rosa,
Roasted at me.
you got Anna roasted.
Yeah.
And I think she essentially was calling you Weird Al Yankovic. If we really, she probably doesn't know who that is. That's what she called you, basically. Said you're the accordion, the strap over the shoulder accordion.
Well, set the
guy.
table. All right, set the tone. So basically, we got a question about if we had a boy band, which is weird. What
Is it,
everybody
though?
would do. Is it? Well, we may do it. A Texags boy band reunion. But you got lead singer.
Well, I appointed myself.
Yeah,
It's
you
kind of a
did.
loaded question.
Yeah. And then you have OB. What is he? The bass?
I think he's the guitarist. He reminds me of Pete Townsend from The Who.
Right. Okay. And then I got the accordion guy.
Yeah, accordion.
Nobody
just,
talks to the accordion
Not just
guy.
the keyboard, which, you go watch. I like Journey in that 80s video. If you young kids watching Separate Ways by Journey. Oddly enough, like one of Johnny's favorite 80s songs. I don't even know how he knows what Separate Ways is. But in the video, they're playing the air instruments. And there's no instruments, and he's playing. That's a cool keyboard guy. She called you strap-on
Han Solo keyboard guy.
Han Solo.
And he had the little thing. Or Luke Skywalker, sorry.
Yeah, but I'm talking about you're Weird Al.
Yeah.
Or the guy, like you said, from Revenge of the Nerds.
That guy.
Wow.
I mean, it just, we did talk sports
Who's
today.
Booger out of Revenge of the Nerds in this office?
Is it somebody who used to host the show?
Booger?
Is it?
No.
Is it
There's a lot of characters for Gabe.
Dalton? You're not going to say it.
Dalton, I didn't say it.
But you wanted to.
I could have wanted to say Brawny.
Okay, Bronny. Let's go with Bronny. I like that. It's so we talked a little thoughts on South Carolina with OB. That was fun on the show. Lucci picking up steam here. The Aggies are looking much better, obviously trending in the right direction around Aggieland, and our buddy that you hung out with, Tom Hart.
Tom, I feel like we should do Tom Hart with TH on that logo from now on just to see if he notices.
TH?
Like Tom. Yeah, Tom Hart got a great video, by the way, from me this weekend. Probably one of my best car singing performances that I've ever done. And that is why I pointed myself the lead singer of the boy
The
band.
lead singer. That video may have to be accompanied on this video. Talk to you guys soon. Here's the rewind. Let's kind of put our brains before, and if you could be given a pamphlet, Haynes is going down, all right? Zach Calzada is going to struggle early. This is a best case scenario considering everything that we have gone through. Sure, you could have won Mississippi State, and you played better against Arkansas after the first 18 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But being 6-2, including a victory over Alabama, a walk-off victory, I think it's best case scenario considering all the stuff they've gone through.
Well, I think anytime you got to win over Alabama, you're talking about maybe best case scenario. Yeah, if you would have told me at the beginning of the year you're going to lose your starting quarterback, Layden Robinson's going to miss a couple of games, Luke Matthews isn't going to be able to play, Miles Jones isn't going to play.
Caleb Chapman.
Yeah, you're not going to have 3 of your top 4 returning receivers. Then I would have probably said, well, if everything else goes perfect, maybe you can be 7-1. But I would have thought, to be honest, I probably would have thought, they'll beat Arkansas. I didn't think Arkansas would be as good as they were, but I don't even know if they are. I think Arkansas was completely
Riding the momentum train at that point?
Just so invested in that game. They haven't won since. Now, they played some tough games. Well, they beat Pine Bluff, but,
Right.
That's a glorified practice. So anyway, I probably would have thought they would have beaten Mississippi State just on defense.
But then having those 2 games, the way they played out, and where you could not run the ball. You ran the ball against Mississippi State, but where it seemed like you couldn't stop anybody and you were getting beat deep, and this Wrecking Crew defense was not playing like it for those 2 games. Would you have believed that they could bounce back and do it?
No. The way it started, as soon as they lost to Arkansas, the red flags were up. And then you say, okay, how are they going to respond? And then they lost to Mississippi State. And I'm thinking, are they going to be bowl eligible?
Right.
Because there were 3 at that time. I'm looking at it and okay, they're what?
3-2.
3-2.
Yep.
You got Alabama. I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be 3-3. You'll beat Missouri. You'll beat South Carolina. Okay, 5-3. All right, you better beat those 2. Both of those.
You got Prairie View.
You got to beat Prairie View. There's your 6. But what if you lose to Missouri, where you've had a world of trouble in your history?
Right.
I never thought they'd lose to South Carolina. I knew South Carolina was going to be bad. But then you're like, how do you lose to Arkansas and Mississippi State and say, okay, you're going to beat Auburn, you're going to beat Alabama, you're going to beat LSU, you're going to beat Ole Miss?
I think the biggest storyline that we've seen, though, is the development of that offensive line, because for a huge part of the beginning, I'll rephrase that. The beginning part of the season, you could not run the ball. This team's identity struggled running the ball against Colorado, struggled running the ball against New Mexico, like games that you should be able to run the ball. You didn't run the ball very well against Arkansas. And since then, you've seen an offensive line that gets pushed, protects Zach Calzada overall, and it has changed the entire team. The defense is playing with a little more confidence because they're not out there all game long. Your offensive line is providing alleys for Isaiah to do what he does and A-Chain to do what he does, and Zach has a little bit more time to put some zip on the ball. To me, that's where the difference in the season started and will continue to be a difference maker the rest of the way.
I'm with you. I think they figured out that Reuben Fothery was the best tackle and needed to be out there just because he's a freshman.
Yep.
I think we talked about this. I think Bryce Foster had a period of adjustment, and it's still going through it, but now he's handling it better. And Layden Robinson was in and out of the lineup. And then you put Kenyon Green back at his best position. So, you had to do some juggling, and you figured out, what is the best way, what's your best lineup. And, they don't have to be great. I keep watching Isaiah Spiller. I'm saying, Isaiah Spiller reminds me of a mouse. He can get through the smallest crevices. A mouse can contort its body and get through I know this because I've worked in a grocery store one time that was mice infested.
Oh, yeah.
I think that Jimbo, it's what he's done since he's been coaching. If you and it's part of why he's worth every penny. And again, I want to get to that after answering this. Just real quick, something I thought about while watching some football this weekend, the last 2 weeks really. But I agree with you though. Credit those players. Like I'm going to leave guys out, but look at Bryce Foster and Reuben Fothery. Look at Kenyon Green and what he's asked to do, moving around, and he's finally back to his position and dominating. Look at Spiller and A-Chain, just to be patient with the O-line and not express frustration with those guys and just understand that it's going to come. If it's not easy right now. You're getting tackled at the line, you're getting hit behind the line, and they were patient with him. Everyone was patient with Calzada, from coaches to teammates alike. You nothing but support. You saw that video, on KAGS of Nias and him in his probably his lowest moment. Then you see him carried off. Calzada's growth, the patience that Jimbo and Darrell Dickey had with him, the patience Josh Henson had with the O-line, the players to listen and hang in there with each other, to not get frustrated and give up when the turnovers weren't coming. Now they're producing 2-3 a game. It's hard to stick in there when you lose back-to-back games in a season with so much promise. I mean, I can remember talking to some of those guys in 2013 when they were coming off of 2012 and they lost back-to-back, and that was to Alabama and Auburn. Auburn played for the national championship that year. Alabama had lost the other one. They were last-minute losses to both those teams, and a lot of them will tell you in 13 the air just really kind of came out of the balloon. The energy in the room was gone. They were unable to get it back. Chase Lane sat in here. DeMarvin, a couple of those guys that week, Weidemeyer, and they said, we have nothing to lose now. I still think having Bama that week at that time in some wild-ass way was the most significant thing for this football team because they had lost 2 in a row. Everyone had written them off. They knew they weren't playing well, and it just something clicked, and it changed the way they practiced, the way they prepared. And I think win or lose that game, it was going to be a different team moving forward, but especially once they won it, then it served as just an absolute launching pad. That 2013 team had, like, after those losses, like Vandy, UTEP, a not-so-good Mississippi State team, a bye week. A&M this year was forced to get up. It was like, kind of like adapt or die kind of thing.
Around Aggieland, A&M beat South Carolina 44-14. They led 31-0 at halftime. South Carolina had just 15 yards of total offense after 3 quarters. Anaya Smith, a 95-yard touchdown return on a punt. He's a SEC nominee for Special Teams Player of the Week. Jalen Weidemeyer, 2 touchdown passes, became the all-time leader in receiving yards by a tight end at Texas A&M. Spiller and A-Chain both over 100 yards. Tyreek Chappelle, Deuce Harmon, both of their first interceptions in their career. For the win, the Aggies are up to 14 in both the AP and the coaches poll. They're off this week. They'll get Auburn next week at Kyle Field. Auburn's ranked number 18. They'll play number 10 Ole Miss this week at Jordan-Hare. Soccer's back in the win column. They beat Vanderbilt 2-1 yesterday in the regular season home finale at Ellis Field. Carolina Sample in the 90th minute. Vanderbilt tied it in the 30th, and then Barbara Oliveri winning it in the 67th minute. They'll conclude the regular season on Thursday night in Columbia. They'll take on Missouri. Equestrian, the number 5 Aggies took down number 9 South Carolina 10-8. 2 most outstanding performers, Ryan Murphy in flat and Devin Thomas in fences. They've got another matchup coming this week. Volleyball dropped 2 this weekend on the road in Starkville, both in 4 sets. Men's golf finished second in the Golf Club of Georgia Collegiate this weekend. They set a program record 38 under for the tournament. Sam Bennett finished 3rd. Pepperdine, number 11 Pepperdine finished won that thing 42 under. Women's golf wraps up their fall slate today, beginning today in a tournament hosted by Mississippi State, the Alley in West Point, Mississippi. Baseball, you've got Brooks Raley of the Astros and A.J. Minter of the Braves in the World Series. Game 1, Tuesday night, first pitch 7:09 on Fox. Men's tennis travels this weekend. Cross country is in the SEC Championships on Friday. Softball's hosting a fall exhibition Friday night, and swimming and diving.
I think overall in college football, and I've preached this year probably more so than any other year, is the disparity from one week to the next can be the difference between the penthouse and the outhouse, right? I mean, this is a small sample size sport. You only have 12 tries to get it right during the regular season. Most teams are working with new teams when the season begins. And then once you get going, you're dealt with injuries. I mean, there's just constant turnover. And so the challenge to take a group of amateurs and get them all on the same page and polling in the same direction is real. So every team, unless, even Georgia's done this number. Yeah, they're still undefeated, but trying to figure out who they are, what they got at quarterback, what they can do offensively, getting guys back healthy. I mean, nobody does this. It's very rare. It's, looking back 2019, LSU had to convert a 3rd and 17 on the road at Texas to really kickstart their season, but that pass gets dropped. They don't execute it. Who knows what happens? Alabama had to deal with injuries to Heisman candidates last year before they hit their stride. So it's a really long answer to say that now that the offensive line is healthy, running backs, 2 of them over 100 yards for the second consecutive game, A&M is now who we thought they would be with a healthy offensive line, even though it's still not perfect and they got a ways to go. But to me, that's the key.
All right, Mr. Lucci, let's close out. What do we tell the people to do?
Smash the like button.
Like it.
Actually watch it.
Just watch. Yeah. If you got to this point of the video, you're a real fan. Thank you very much.
And then get on TexAgs, watch the show,
Yeah,
watch all the shows, watch all the NIL. I mean, we're interviewing Michael Clemens today. That's always must-see stuff. We got Michael Clemens and Damani Richardson today, and I think Anias here at some point this afternoon as well.
Watch all that and become a premium subscriber. Thanks for watching, guys.
Might have Anias reenact the punt return here in the studio.
Do that. Michael Clemens reenact the pregame talk.
I'm
Ric
not.
Flair.
I was gonna say reenact the sack on Zeb Nolan. I'm like, I'm not gonna be.
You're not going to be
Nolan.
Zeb. We'll find somebody for that. Thanks for watching.